Okie dokie. We're going.
Oh, it's on?
Yeah, it's on.
Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. I am fucking tired.
Yeah.
What do we say? I'm lost right now.
What do you mean you're lost?
Yeah, I'm scatterbrained.
You're scatterbrained?
Yeah, I got a lot going on.
We do have a lot going on.
Yeah.
We got a homeboy picking up that bike tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We got Giddy Up coming up, which we're kind of hustling for. We just got some bikes in, I see. So
Yeah, we've got a sweet Softail in and a FXR from West Coast and a Softail from North Carolina. So super cool.
Yeah. Pretty stoked about doing that.
Yeah.
And then what else we got? Oh, we got the Ohio bagger we're doing the body work on right now.
Yeah, which I think after this, I don't want to take any more body work in.
Yeah.
What you've heard about people like paint shops doing that before, where they'll make it to where it has to be ready to paint before it comes. It's just
we don't want to take any heavy body work.
Yeah, like if it's got a ding in it or something, that's
cool. We can easily do that.
But like stripping the whole bike down to bare metal and body working a tank, man, that shit just
you
can't get.
It's not even worth like the amount of time you put into it out of like what.
Yeah, it's like
you can get from it.
It just covers the shop in dust, and it's just a fucking nightmare. I'm a neat freak, so every time, and I know it sucks doing all the work outside. So
yeah, dude, I got my farmer's tan going. Yeah, I'm be sexy this summer.
Yeah, so so this podcast, Patrick from Royal T, I actually met up with him on the way home from Daytona. If you heard the last podcast, you heard me explaining Daytona in a nutshell.
It sucked.
And on the way home, we stopped and we actually stayed at Patrick's shop / house / you'll find out and hear what it is in this podcast. But it was fucking dope there, man. Like, I think I touched bases on it a little bit when we did the last podcast, or at least the intro to the last one.
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans is like I felt like I was in another country.
Yeah, it's its own thing.
Yeah, I felt like I was going through Tijuana or something. You know what I mean? But more brothers.
More brothers.
But the city, I mean, it's got a fucking huge downtown.
Dude, so like that's... did you go to the French district at all?
No, we just kind of stayed around his shop area,
the
which
French
is...
district is amazing.
It's right down the street from where he was at, so...
all that area is just full of culture, and like it's the weirdest assortment of people in one area.
Yeah, like I was saying, man, like you go, like he took us to this one good ass burger joint. We went in there, we ate, and it's just hipster as fuck, right? Like white folks that you would normally not see in that rough. It's like for us Dallas people, it's like if a whole bunch of white people moved to Pleasant Grove.
You don't belong there, dude.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's like I mean, it works. But he was telling me that like a lot of the people do Airbnb around there.
Yeah.
And since it's kind of within distance to the French Quarter, a lot of them, like people from out of town, like these frat boys and shit, will come.
Yeah, and just
Airbnb and then walk there, and they all get jumped.
Yeah.
Basically, what he was saying is like, these people get it in their head because they see a sprinkle of white folks here and there. And it's white friendly around here.
White friendly. It's definitely not.
But
our dumbasses, fucking, when I went down there, we stayed in the fucking 9th Ward like some retards. That was scary. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know which one it was that we stayed in where his shop is, but it's either 7th or 9th, which are supposedly the worst areas. But it was cool though. Like it's cool.
Really cool fucking area. Like it's pretty in like this weird gritty way.
Yeah.
But it's like sketchy as fuck. So we were going to get liquor that night, and we were driving to the liquor store, and somebody was going like 90 miles an hour on our side of the road, just not paying attention. And we had to swerve off the road. I mean, that's how bad.
Yeah, and the roads are horrible.
It's insane out there.
Yeah, so it's like
like if you stay there one night and some wild shit happens, then you know wild shit is always happening.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's a daily thing out there. No, but it was cool, man. He showed us this other little bar around the corner, same thing. Cool spot, full of hipsters. But they're cool. I'm not talking shit about hipsters. I mean, it's just that's what they were.
Description. Yeah.
And then we left there, and we were going back to his compound, and so we stopped at the liquor store. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna lie, we pulled up, and it's the entrance is just straight thick. Like,
oh yeah,
it looked like the
it's
hangout.
Like, yeah, it's like it's almost like
somebody
Fuel
got
City in Dallas.
Yeah, it's like I felt like people got dressed to go hang out in front of the liquor store. Like it's they're ironing their jeans and shit to go to fucking the liquor store and hang out. And they're all super cool. Like walking in, they're all, oh, what's up, nice bike, blah blah blah. And then Patrick's like all buddy with the liquor store dude talking to him. Yeah, man, I ain't been here in a while. I've been out of town. And so it's kind of like I think that's what happens. I think people get tricked into thinking that it's super safe and super chill and you're welcome, which I think you are, but it's kind of like, well, I mean, it's like, kind of like like you're in the Lions Pride area, and they're letting you live there, but every once in a while they got to eat, so they fucking they got
to do their thing.
They just got to hit a white dude over the head and take his take money,
his fucking wallet.
So I don't know. I'm speaking on 4 hours of actual outside of his place, seeing the city. So I'm not.
We went out so we also, it was like Christmas time, so we went to like this like walk around thing for like Christmas and shit. And it's like it's not ghetto, but it's like there's only certain parts. It's like they're just in it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like they don't leave it. They don't leave the den. Yeah. So it's like if you just know where those areas are, you can easily avoid it. Unless you're on like, Bourbon Street or something like that and you're partying, because then you're just asking to get fucked with, because, I mean, where else?
I definitely want to go back. I mean, I definitely want to go back down there and spend like a weekend and just hang out with Patrick again. And, he's also a fucking amazing fabricator. Yeah. His exhaust systems are probably, in my opinion, the dopest on the set. And he does a lot of cool shit. And he's building a Born Free bike this year, which is pretty rad. He doesn't have a lot of time, and when I was there, he still had a lot of work to do. So, so this podcast is brought to you by
Texas Performance MC, Mark Matthews from Austin, Texas, Cedar Park, Texas. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so check out Mark, Texas Performance MC on IG.
He's got a dyno now. I know we keep talking about this.
I'm actually gonna, looking forward to hanging out with him. I hadn't seen him since he was up here doing the podcast with us, but I'm looking forward to kicking with him for Giddy Up. And, we're actually painting his Softail for him right now that he's trying to have done for Giddy Up. And I'll be honest with you, we got a lot of work to do, and I haven't even finished a sketch for it yet. So. And I told him I'd have it to him by Friday, and this Friday, actually, tomorrow. Tomorrow if you're listening to this. So I'm hoping to start tomorrow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, check him out, Texas Performance MC. He's got everything you need. Sells Dixon flannels. He's got all the cool boy dyno stuff. Like I said, the dyno. He's just got it all.
Small parts and shit there too, like taillights.
He's got
taillights and shit like that. Just random little small things.
Pretty much anything you need. And if he doesn't have it, it's it's within arm's reach for him. Also, don't forget about Danger Dan and MC Shop Tees. Pretty sure if you listen to the last couple of podcasts, you've heard us talk about this. I think that next week we'll actually have Dan on the podcast, which you'll actually get to know more about this whole subscription-based T-shirt company that he's got going on. But basically, that's what it is. It's a motorcycle shop featured every month. A custom T-shirt designed and made by people that Dan picks to do that, and basically you're getting a one-off shirt every month for $23 a month, basically.
I think Dan made some of his own T-shirts too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think he's taking those to Giddy Up and he's selling them.
Definitely,
they look really fucking dope too. So definitely gonna grab one.
Yeah, we'll definitely see Dan down there at Giddy Up as well. We just actually got our stuff booked for camp. How do they say it?
I can't even remember.
Hako?
It was like, we keep saying Hako, but I think they called it like...
It sounded like they said Waco.
Yeah, it sounded like Hako or something. I don't know. We don't know how to fucking pronounce
shit. If you're coming down and you think you're going to hotel it, you're making a grave mistake.
Absolutely, don't
come hotel. Camp. There's more. The more that people that camp with us or camp in the area, the better. That's where the party's at. But anyway, don't forget Danger Dan, MC Shop TS at IG. And what else? yeah, so check him out. Like I said, if you put in, when you go to checkout and you get on the subscription base, if you put Fast Life at checkout, you'll get $3 off that first month, which will bring it down to $20. And like I said, and I've been saying since we started this podcast, man, support motorcycle shit. You know what I mean? Like dudes like him doing bike shit. I mean, yeah, he's doing this for a lot of reasons, but I think it's cool that he's promoting all these other shops across the country, and basically you're buying into, you know, supporting a national deal, I think is what it is.
He's helping to unify it, dude.
Yeah, so that's super dope. Check him out, mcshopts.com and mcshopts on Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget to check out Danger Dan's podcast and all that Jimmy Jazz as well.
Jimmy Jazz?
Yeah, it's a shoe store out here for whatever.
Also, subscribe to our Patreon.
Yes, I think we got one more. So we are up to $16 a month.
Oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
Paying my Spotify subscription.
Yeah, we can almost get a fucking Netflix account.
Yeah, right?
No, it's all good. We appreciate that shit, man. It's very...
It's not even the money. I think it's more about just the idea of it.
It's awesome that someone cares, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
that much.
Like I said, we're actually going to be doing the research to figure out how we can give you Patreon subscribers some special content. And that'll be happening, like I said, last podcast, very soon. It'll probably happen right after Giddy Up.
Yeah.
But also, we're also looking at ways we can do some, what we call it, like tidbits or snippets of some of our podcast conversations.
Yeah, like any kind of highlights or anything from, you know, our own podcast that we thought were really cool points or anything kind of that stood out to us a lot. We'd like to start doing snippets of it, posting them up on like YouTube and stuff like that.
And I think what we're at, I mean, it's a ways out, but I mean, like I said,
do video too.
We want to start adding a video based, but I mean, to be honest with you, it's just going to be like a one angle of us sitting at a table with the guest, just talking. It's not going to be like a, you know, this person's talking, the screen goes to him. No, it's just going to be that.
We're not fucking professionals.
And it's only going to be for YouTube. But, you know, we've had a lot of people want to see videos, and I guess some people that aren't listening on this through headphones, I get it. You know, it's cool. It's just, it's more equipment, basically. You know what I mean? So all that Patreon
not
shit.
Only that, but it's more time.
Yeah. And,
Way
you know,
time.
We're also looking for new sponsors, you know, people that might want to get down with, you know,
Get down with the get down.
Yeah, so I mean, we do monthly subscriptions for our sponsorships, and
we do one-time fees.
For per episodes, and you know, we would like to keep, even though Mark from Texas Performance is on there, we really don't want to have shops or paint shops as sponsors. We'd rather it be products, you know, whether it be like the T-shirt companies or paint products or whatever the case may be, because you know. Let's say we talk to, you know, say we talk to Valley Customs, which obviously we have, but then, you know, Lucky Strike Design wants to be a fucking sponsor. So we're plugging Lucky Strike Designs for the podcast of Valley Customs. And, you know, Valley Customs customers might be listening to this podcast to find out more about him or whatever. So, you know what I mean? You see the conflict of interest there?
Yeah.
So we'd really like to keep it just different types of clothing company, product-based companies, things like that, you know, or even just events, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, as much as we talked about Giddy Up in Texas Hills, I feel like we should have got free, like, comped into that bitch or something, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, this podcast, you know, I sat down with Patrick from Royal T, which I already said, and yeah, man, he's a pretty cool dude, and I enjoyed his story, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to listen to this today too, even though I was there, because I need some more motivation.
Yeah.
So check them out.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Fuck, man. So it's going right now.
All right.
Get the nerves out. So I guess the first step, man, is tell everybody who you are.
My name is Patrick Tilbury. I own Royalty Racing here in New Orleans. I'm a fabricator, mainly an exhaust builder, but we also do fuel builds too.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. The fuck, man, this place is crazy down here. Just being in this town, like I was telling you when I got here. You know, I'm not from. I've never been here, so
Yeah. It's a bit of a culture shock.
it's kind of like the first time I ever went to LA. You know, you see so much like movies, TV shows, and like rap videos and shit like that. That when you finally go there, it's like that's your only connection to it visually.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think that's also maybe why I never really came here, because I just thought it was a shithole.
Yeah.
But now I'm here.
I mean,
and
it
it's like
kind of
the
is.
culture. Yeah, but it's cool. It's cool shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the culture is its saving grace. I mean, the city is in a lot of ways falling apart, and like the tourism stuff like feeds it, but at the same time, it's like when you really look at it, just standing back looking at it, like just the tourists will just come here and just take like a steaming pile of shit and then leave.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what we deal with a lot. But I mean, in this area, we're in the upper 9th ward. It's not too bad. There's not a whole lot of tourism around here. You know,
Where's the super shitty area? What would that be considered?
this is it. This is it's like there's like 9th ward, which is what we're in, and then there's 7th ward. 7th ward probably has more shootings and shit, but I mean, we have the same shit over here, just probably not as much, but
Yeah.
it's still a lot.
But yeah, I mean, we came in 10. We were coming through 10 headed west, and that long ass bridge going across the bay there was fucking. That was pretty wild. But once you got close to the city, and then once we exited, then it's like a lot of abandoned buildings, but they're all like kind of tagged up and shit. It's pretty cool. And then the houses are fucking like way different than like what I would imagine. They're real cookie cutter, but.
It's all the shotgun houses. All those.
Yeah.
They're all raised off the ground. It's sometimes you get like a double shotgun. And I mean, basically what all that is when you walk in the front door, you can see the back door. That's like why they call it a shotgun. There's just one long hallway, and then all the rooms are off to the right or the left, depending on the setup.
Yeah, I never knew any of that shit.
But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of abandoned buildings. I mean, just 2 blocks down, I don't know if you saw it when y'all came in. There's like an abandoned school that hasn't been back since Katrina, and it still has like the registration for school next year, 2005. Like,
what?
So it's like still up on the board and everything.
You'd think they'd film a lot of zombie movies and shit down here.
They actually are. Or they're about to do The Purge, which is basically going to be like a documentary. I mean, they're just going to set security cameras up and let it roll. It's all the same shit. I mean, it's like crackheads and zombies, and it's all the same shit.
That's pretty wild, though. I mean, so I guess what made you pick this place to open up the shop? I mean, you're originally from my neck of the woods, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Grapevine, Texas, for the most part. I mean, I moved a lot. I moved 16 times before I was a senior in high school. So we were all over the place, but New Orleans was kind of always the constant in my life. My family always had a house down here. Like, I mean, it goes back generations. Like, there's a lot of my family that's from down here. So every summer, like pretty much the day after the last day of school to the day before the first day of school, I would be living down here. So I just kind of, I fell in love with the city. It's a really cool city. It's kind of like, it's really nitty gritty. There's not like I lived in Austin for almost 8 years.
Yeah.
And I watched it in 8 years. It just like completely went upside down. It was like all these cool shops that I were looking at, and it's like, oh, I could turn that into my business. Like, I could put my shop right there. Like, by the time I was ready to do it, like those buildings, like just a shitty like 3,000 square foot warehouse is like $3 million, and then all of a sudden like some CrossFit gym or like like some coffee shop moves in there, like some creative workspace, whatever that is. And I kind of got priced out of Austin, and the next natural thing was like my parents lived down in the quarter, so I was like, fuck, maybe I'll just move closer to them, and property's super cheap down here. I mean, technically I live in a mansion.
Yeah, dude, this compound is really legit. Like,
if we're going by square footage.
Yeah. So tell everybody the backstory of this place. It's pretty cool for the people that haven't saw the videos and stuff.
This place was basically, I mean, it ran for 10 years. It was an illegal doctor's office. They were zoned for commercial, but they weren't approved by HIPAA or anything to be a doctor's office. So it was like a lot of like kind of like a prescription farm. And then there was a lot of shit, like we still have x-rays of like, I can show you some after this. It's all like guys with like bullets like inside of them that are getting x-rayed and shit. So like you would come here if you got caught like carjacking somebody and they shot you and you can't go to the hospital because they'll report you. You could come here. This was like 24 hours. So I mean, I have like literally like 10,000 x-rays back there. I got everybody in the neighborhood's x-rays. But I mean, yeah. And then they, I guess the city or the state started to catch on to them, and then they got shut down. And as soon as they got shut down, I scooped it up as cheap as I could.
That's cool. Yeah, the whole setup, the whole layout. I mean, the shop area is fucking like I said, when I walked in, is like you can eat off the floor. It's got a good layout. It's comfortable.
I clean up every day. Every day after work, I sweep, and sometimes, most of the time, I'll mop. But it's I just don't like being in a dirty work area. I think if your work area is clean, your work will be clean. That's how I kind of, even though I don't practice it as much as I should, I think that's kind of how I think about it as well. But so, when was it when you started getting into like, the fab and all that different area? Was it like a high school thing or before? Or? It was like, I don't know if it was late middle school or early high school, but it's actually our mutual friend, Carlos. Mm-hmm. I lived in the same city as him in like South Lake, Grapevine area. And his dad is like this fucking, I don't even know how to, have you ever met his dad?
Yeah, he's super cool.
Yeah, he's a nut job. Like he was like, I guess he got hired in the 80s to convert all of the cabs or all the yellow cabs in New York over to propane. Like I think that was like one of his big things he did.
I didn't know about that.
But that guy's like a genius. So I used to hang out over there, and I had this, I had a Porsche 944 Turbo that was like just this huge pile of shit. It was like, it was cool to say I had a Porsche, but like it never ran or anything like that. So I rebuilt the engine over there. And then I did a bunch of fab work over there, and Carlos and his dad were the ones that showed me how to weld. They kind of taught me, and I did a bunch of MIG welding over there. And then after that, I ended up dropping out of high school because I knew what I wanted to do. I was so like infatuated with becoming good at fabricating. So I dropped out of high school, and then a year later, I went off to a trade school called Wyotech. Uh-huh. It's a scam. I mean, it's like a crash course in like everything you need to know about building a car. So it's like 3 months of engine, 3 months of drivetrain, and then you take like your elective afterwards, which I chose like the street rod and chassis fab. Uh-huh. And it was like 6 months of that, but I mean, it's not. I mean, you could learn in probably a year 100 times better what you would learn at Wyotech for if you were just working at a shop or something.
I bring this up all the time with a lot of people because, a lot of people we talk to are like you, where they, they work with their hands in this trade type stuff. But I say, wouldn't you think that like just people going to really apprentice is a more smarter idea?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you can find a good place to apprentice, but I think the problem is like, all this stuff is so popular now with all the TV shows and everything that everybody wants to be a fabricator, everybody wants to be a bike builder or a car builder, and then they get there and they're apprenticing and they realize that it's actual real work. It's not like hanging out with your buddies in the shop all day, drinking beer and like tinkering on a bike or something. Like you have deadlines, you have like there's people's money is on the line, your reputation's on the line. So I think that scares a lot of people off almost immediately. And I think just the whole idea of a apprenticeship now, I think with how fast everything moves now, is kind of getting like not outdated, but it's not common to work that long at something you suck at and having the people around you tell you that you suck at it. And then wait like a year or two to finally start getting paid. I don't think.
Well, I think that, if someone was to come here and help, they got to be helpful to you, right? So they have to, they got to do something around. They got to do some bitch work, basically, right?
No, I mean, I got a guy doing it right now. I mean, he's a good friend of mine. His name's Bubba. He's he'll love that I'm talking about him right now. But he's part of like a local MC called the Banshees. They're a real old club. But yeah, I mean, he's in. I don't know if it's matching what his expectations were, but it's a lot of like, he's just like deburring pipes right now and kind of like learning how to like put a brush finish on them and everything like that. And he'll be doing that for the next like 6 months to a year. But I think the thing that I tell him is like, look, you're skipping the whole part of trial and error. You're just going to learn how to do it right off the bat. Yeah. And I mean, it's going to benefit you huge in the future, but you gotta hunker down, and you're gonna take some shit. I mean, me and you are gonna get into it eventually, and you're just gonna have to take it. I mean, I only have your best interest at heart, you know.
Well, that's the same thing. That's the same way it works for paint. I mean, everybody sees the glory, and they want to jump right into the hot seat.
Yeah.
And you know, the only thing that makes the quality good in paint is all the shit that nobody wants to do, and or is shitty, the shitty part of it.
I wouldn't do it. Fuck, I would never. I could not stand there and Bondo and primer dust day after day. Like, it
gets old. That's why I like welding now.
Like, you see my shop.
Yeah,
like, imagine if I had to clean up that much dust every day. It would drive me crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's that's probably one of the biggest deals. Like, I guess what turns me on about like your type of business is that it's just manageable to keep it clean, to keep it organized, you know, instead of like, you know, paint is, you know, I could talk shit about it for days and days and days, but I mean, it's what pays the bills. I could do
the same thing about fab work. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that you would never realize could like really piss your customers off. Like if you don't restock one thing or anything like that, and then you got to wait for it. I mean, I guess it's the same with the paint and body work, but it's just a lot more than just like having a welder and a belt sander and a tubing polisher or just Scotch-Brite pads laying around. You know, it's yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing I'm learning right now that I'm out on my own is to manage and run a business. Like, I get almost zero seat time welding anymore. I mean, I still, right now, I'm still building everybody's exhaust, but it's just taking longer because I'm trying to keep everything on the rails to get these guys on track to where they can start welding and taking over some of the responsibility.
So, you know, so you started doing all that stuff with Carlos and, you know, got influenced by it, and you went to WildTech. Did you finish that program, or did you just kind of like get your feet wet in that and then dip out?
No, I finished WildTech. I mean, that was the only thing I've ever graduated was WildTech. I mean, I think my mom still has the little fucking plaque that they give you. But yeah, I mean, I graduated that, and then, I mean, I was always into bikes, but I would never wanted to be in the box of just being a bike guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's bike builders, and I don't think I ever want to be considered a bike builder. I'd rather just be a fabricator or somebody a really well-respected fabricator. That would be like my end goal. So yeah, you know, I went from there, and I was always really into racing. So I started working at a race car shop in Austin. I moved to Austin right after I got out of WildTech.
Where's WildTech at? Where were you at?
The original campus is in Wyoming, in Laramie, Wyoming, but I couldn't do it. I went up and visited a buddy who went there a couple years before me, and it was just a shithole. It was like living in hell up there.
I rode a bike through Laramie once.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a trucker town,
and
all of a sudden you have like this trade school, and like no matter what WildTech campus you go to, it's like literally like going to prison for a year. I mean, it's all dudes all day long. You're living with the guys that you're going to class with. I mean, I remember they brought Red Bull girls to the campus to hand out Red Bull like during one of our breaks. And like we ran out there, and it was like a sea of dudes like charging these girls, and they had like it all rope and stanchioned off like to where you couldn't get within like 20 feet of the girls, and like the girls would like hand a can to like some like bodyguard dude, and then he would hand it to you.
Wow.
But it was like, and
that is like prison, huh?
Yeah, and like everybody was screaming at these chicks, and there was like 2 or 3 girls at WildTech. It was just miserable. I mean,
yeah, there's like the butch chicks or some shit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to. I don't know if any of those chicks still follow me on Facebook or anything, so I'm not gonna like talk shit about them, but they know who they are.
Yeah. So you did that. Then where'd you go to Austin? Like, what was the?
I went to Austin. I don't know why. I think I wanted to still be like, my parents still lived in Texas, so I didn't want to go back home. You know, I know a lot of the guys that I went to school with or that I grew up with. Like, I mean, they have good jobs and everything, but they just kind of like, I went out and I came back and they were still in the same place. You know?
Yeah. And
I mean, that's super comfortable to go back to that because you still know everybody. Everybody still talks about the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to get out a little bit more. I knew what the opportunities in that area were, and I wanted to do something or try to do something bigger. So I went to Austin. I got a job at a place called ProTech. Their big claim to fame was they built the first turbo kit for an RX-8, but they were a big rotary shop, and I had a couple friends that had rotaries growing up. So, I mean, there I was basically just building custom turbo kits, and I was doing some side work for a shop called Boost Logic.
I remember that shop.
Yeah, Boost Logic's big now. They do all like GTR stuff. This was before the GTR really came out. Yeah. They were still mostly on Supras. So I did a lot of side work for them because their fabricator was constantly swamped. And that to me was kind of a cool exposure. I really liked the competitiveness of it, you know, like it was not like whose shit looks the coolest. It was like my shit goes 240 miles an hour in a standing mile. Like, can yours do that? Yeah. Like, I like that.
So you started, like, when you were there, like, what were you doing? Like, kind of helping do some of the exhaust fabrication on the piping and stuff like that, or?
Yeah. I mean, at ProTech, it was, I started out there. They had this guy that was like this badass fabricator. I never got to meet him. I guess he moved out to Waco right after he quit there. And so I just kind of got thrown into the mix. Like, there was another fabricator that would stop by every now and then, and I guess he was kind of like my mentor for a little bit, but he was really just like a shithead. I don't think he was as good as he ever said he was, but yeah, I mean, I got kind of thrown into the mix, and then I had to kind of prove myself because none of the guys there, I don't think, liked me at the beginning or anything. So as soon as I started actually putting out decent work, then they all started like wanting to talk and shit. But for a while there, it was just by myself. I mean, my fab table was like a metal door that they had welded legs onto. Like there was like a doorknob hole in the middle of it. But it was, it was cool. I mean, it was all performance exhausts and mainly forced induction shit, a lot of turbo kits.
So were you mainly just working with stainless steel there and stuff like that too? Or?
Yeah. I mean, my whole career has pretty much been stainless steel work. Yeah. I mean, later on, I ended up working at the speed shop, and that was a lot of mild steel and a lot of sheet metal stuff that I had never really dove into before, and that was a crazy learning curve, but I ended up somewhat figuring it out. I'm not the most competent sheet metal worker, but I can get some stuff done.
Get it done. So, yeah, because you have a huge background in all that race and stuff, and, you know, like the what was it, the Texas Mile type setups and stuff?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that you've brought that same flavor to the bikes that you were doing in the car shit. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like the biggest thing I noticed, I mean, I guess I shouldn't skip too far ahead.
Yeah.
But
we can segue.
yeah. I mean, I think Harley stuff it's definitely its own style, but as far as what becomes trendy really quick and what people think is cool, it's usually shit that's been going on in the car world for like 5 years before that. And I thought that was pretty interesting with the Harley stuff. I don't know if it didn't give me a leg up or anything. I mean, I still get outsold by a lot of small companies, but it was, I think the people that buy my stuff, I think they definitely recognize like where the influence is from.
Yeah. You know, I was, from the first time I saw your exhaust systems and stuff, I was a huge fan, but I also come from sport bikes back in the day. So I kind of remembered that, you know, MotoGP kind of style exhaust system.
Just a GP muffler, basically.
Yeah, and then so when I saw it on the Harley, it just kind of like, I was like, fuck, that's like it's crazy to think of something so simple. Like I've seen them put sport bike mufflers on Harleys before, like a D&D can, and that shit just doesn't have any fucking swag at all.
Yeah,
you know. And then I saw that pipe, I was like, fuck, that's dope looking, you know.
Yeah.
And then you got your Sawicki and your fucking Thrash and all these people that do these hand built pipes, and they all, you know, they're all cool and respective of what they make and stuff, but they just, yours was its own style. And then of course now, you know, there's been, you know, guys like me that have like the knockoff versions, but then there's
real cool.
Yeah.
Could have called me. You got my phone number.
I do now. But then you got, you know, those other companies that are starting to make those pipes as well that have a big, you know, clearly off your pipes, you know what I'm saying? And that are actually exhaust companies, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What was it like? What's that main one that it's like that I think they have one that's kind of similar to yours that they've been running on like sporties and shit.
Fuck, I can't tell. I mean, there's a few guys out there. I don't want to name names or anything, but I mean, you named Sawicki. Sawicki's actually a really good friend of mine. Yeah. He helped me out when I first started getting to the Harley exhaust. He told me like what bikes to make pipes for, and since then, I mean, he's the only. I mean, I don't talk to a lot of other fabricators or anything, you know. It's nothing against them or anything. I kind of stay to myself. And Sawicki will reach out to me every now and then. We talk, and I think we both are not interested in trying to do what the other is doing.
Yeah, yeah.
So as long as we have that agreement, there's no worries. We can actually like talk and shit. Whereas a lot of guys, when I talk to them, it's like trying to figure out what they're trying to figure out about me.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That's kind of weird. So once you left the you know, when did bikes kind of get into your? So
I left ProTech and doing that side work for Boost Logic, which I don't want to say I was working for Boost Logic. Every now and then I'll say that just to kind of like speed up the conversation, you know, to not dive into it. But I mean, I was just doing side work for them. They're a huge company. The guy at the time, Mark, was an amazing fabricator. He was way ahead of where I was at. But yeah, so I left there. And then I worked at a bar for like a year, and it was terrible. Worked at a bar right off 6th Street. It was actually on 7th Street in Austin. And it was like this juggernaut, like hipster bar. And I hated it. I was a doorman there, and I already don't like interacting with a lot of people. Like people just like get on my nerves, and I get on their nerves. You know, I can't I'm just not the right guy to be a bartender or a doorman or anything where I have to see 100 people a night. Yeah. And so I got fed up with that, and then I went to the Austin Speed Shop. I didn't know anything about it really. I just knew that it was a couple blocks away from my house. It was close. Yeah. I went there. I brought him like a piece of like scrap that I had welded before I left ProTech, and I gave it to him. There was a guy named Paul there that was working at the time. He doesn't work there anymore, but he's still good friends with everybody there. And he was asking me about like what I've done. I told him about my car, my 944, and he had one. So that was kind of like my in. Yeah. So I just started talking to him about Porsches, and he was all about it. And then like a week later, I got a call, and they told me that I was hired and I was going to be like a beginner fabricator or whatever. So I was fine with that. And I mean, once I got there, and I had probably like 3 years of solid like being in a shop welding every day under my belt at that time. So I kind of like, I didn't rise up the ranks really quickly, but I went from like kind of being the new guy just to being like a fabricator in the shop pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And that was a whole different world for me. That was all period correct hot rods and customs, and I was coming from like Supras and RX-7s. Yeah. And I was like, man, this shit's like stupid. These guys are spending all this money and their cars are still slow as fuck. Like, why are these guys doing that? And then like, eventually, you know, when you're surrounded by it, you start to respect it, and you start to like kind of get into it. And it was like a lot of the guys there, I mean, they had been fabricators for like 20 or 30 years. And yeah, I mean, I got really into it, and I think it was my second week there. I was sweeping up my work area, and Jesse James had walked in, and I had heard his name mentioned a bunch around the shop, but I was still a new guy, so nobody was talking to me or anything. And Jesse walked in, and he like introduced himself to me, and that's kind of like when I put it all together that he was part owner of the shop. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I spent another, I think, 3 or 4 years at the speed shop. We did like the whole Outlaw Garage TV show, which was a disaster. But I mean, for what it was, for a reality TV show about cars, it was cool, but it was just a ton of work in a short amount of time. Yeah. And Jesse had his falling out with the owners at the speed shop. And he told me he was kind of taken off from the speed shop. He was still going to be a partner, but not be an active partner. Mm-hmm. And it was like a week before the Texas Roundup. He came up to me in the shop, and he basically told me that he was kind of going to restart West Coast Choppers, but in Austin. He kept the name and everything. He still had all the trademarks on it. And he wanted me to come out and help him start it. So, I mean, immediately I was just like, fuck yeah. Like, I'm down. Like, cars are cool, but bikes are a whole different thing I haven't touched yet. So,
yeah, it's a new waters.
Yeah, so that's kind of how everything worked out. I mean, it was real quick from when I was kind of getting, not burnt out, but after that TV show, like there was a lot of drama going around between the owners, and it was kind of like a toxic place to be. I think like everybody left, or 90% of the original crew had left in about 6 months. So I was kind of like there with all these new guys that I didn't know, and I didn't want to know.
Was the West Coast Chopper Shop like a separate location? I mean, obviously it was a separate location, but was he doing it all at his house like you see on Instagram, or did he have another like place that
So when I started, there was a separate shop about a mile down the road from Jesse's house, out in Dripping Springs area, like way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'd never even been out there. That was opposite direction of everywhere I'd went. There's like just this big, like, I think it was like 3,500 square foot warehouse, and there was like a water jet in the middle of it. And then there was a CNC machine with this guy named Mike that was working there, and he was like helping Jesse prototype gun stuff at the time.
Yeah.
And like Mike had like a cake job for a little bit. Like he was just in a warehouse by himself, like programming shit on a CNC, had his dog there. But it was like all of Jesse's shit was in that warehouse. It was like a storage warehouse. So there was like 20 cars in there. I mean, it was like just shit. Like Jesse has accumulated so much shit over the years. It's like unbelievable. So there was really no workspace. So for the first like 6 months I was there, I was working in Jesse's shop that was right on his property, like at his house. It's just like a little like 2,000 square foot shop, but it's really well set up. He's got like the best tooling you could ever need. So yeah, I mean, that was really it. I mean, I was working there, and then we ended up clearing shit out of the big shop and moved it in there.
So what you built like frames and stuff, or like, you know, from there, you know what I mean? Like you did a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
What was it like doing, like going from, you know, the car shit to now you're fucking got your hands on some classic fucking CHL, or is it CFLs?
Yeah, the CFLs. Yeah, I mean, it was, the car stuff was cool, but the builds were really long, and I'm like the kind of person that needs like the instant gratification almost.
Yeah.
So the bikes go a lot faster. The bike builds go a lot faster,
Yeah.
unless it's like my personal bike, the dyno, which is never gonna end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was the coolest part about it for me. I remember it was like, oh, it's really fun to weld. It's like small stuff. It's a lot of small pieces to do. It's a lot of small pieces to make. But I don't know. I thought it was more challenging. There was less space to do more, basically.
So were y'all having to, like, you know, he has his, I guess, I'm ignorant to this stuff right now, so I'm just, you know, if I say some stupid shit, it's cool, you know, or just tell me. But so, you know, does he just have like plans, like, okay, this is, you bend this tube here, welded, or is it like you're just making each piece, or?
Yeah, it was, I mean, so there were frame tables, like frame jigs that he had from the Long Beach shop. And they were crazy. I mean, they were like 200 pieces each one, and it's all like CNC'd pieces, but they're all just like in a pile in a crate. So I would go back online and I'd look at all the like pictures that like people visiting the shop had taken and see like the frame jigs in the background and try to like piece them together off that. It took me like a month, but I finally got the first CFL one together.
Wow.
And from there, it was pretty self-explanatory, but like the custom stuff was, the way Jesse works is like he'll be working on something and you'll be like talking to him, whatever, and then he'll have like a crayon or something, or like just a Sharpie and a piece of cardboard, and he'll like really crudely sketch something out. He's like, yeah, just make that. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. And like, then you got to figure it out, and then you like, your shit gets rejected 100 times, and then finally when you get it, it's like, all right, we're good, let's go into production.
So overall, was it kind of like, I mean, I would think, was it a good experience being there and getting that opportunity and stuff?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it's like, I know a lot of people, for whatever reason, like I don't even know what most people's personal beef is with Jesse, but he's, I mean, the dude's like, he's like an encyclopedia of like motorcycle knowledge. I mean, any question I ever had for him, he had an answer, like just right off the top of his head, almost immediately. Anything from fabrication to like history.
I mean, I've always been a huge fan of him. I mean, fuck, dude, like I've told countless people, it's like if it wasn't for those old TV shows back in the day, I would have never got inspired to get into, you know, doing things with my hands, whether, you know, because I was inspired to. It was cool seeing them build shit on like Monster Garage, and then the riding, and then I got a job, you know, painting bikes, or not painting bikes, but working in a paint shop that did bikes, and so it all kind of started coming together, and then I'd go back and watch those TV shows, and it'd be like an inspiration. You know?
I mean, I think for a lot of people in our generation or our age or whatever at that time, it was kind of like right at the point where you were about to have to choose a career or whatever. And that was just like a whole nother world that a lot of people hadn't, like, I mean, if you were if your dad owned like a fabrication shop or something, you would know about that whole world of it. But I think that being on TV or whatever was kind of a big eye opener for a lot of people. Like, oh, this can be a career.
See, for what it was for us is for myself is, you know, my dad had a paint and body shop. My grandfather taught him how to paint and do this. So it's like I had this long line of paint and body guys.
Yeah.
So when I was forced to do that shit as a young adult or a young teen, I hated it. I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to be here. This fucking sucks. I just want to be at home playing.
You were like a little Roland Sands. Like,
yeah.
I think I've heard from some people that I don't want to mention that, like Roland Sands, when he'd get in trouble in high school, his dad would like make him like deburr shit in the machine shop or like work in the machine shop for a weekend, and he would like fucking hate it.
Yeah.
And now, I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
But, you know, and it wasn't till, you know, those shows came out, as I was trying to go my own path in life, you know, I was trying to I was architecture and things like that. And then those shows come out and it like, oh, that looks cool. You know what I mean? Like that looks like fulfilling. Like, cause in architecture, when I was doing draftsman work, I would, you know, did what I was supposed to do, but you know, like there's no gratification of holding something you designed or built.
Yeah.
Even if it is a paint job, like, you know, you created this paint job and now you're holding the finished product.
Yeah.
As opposed to like just designing it and then handing your ideas to somebody else and letting them have the glory of putting it together. Mm-hmm. So seeing those shows, it was like, fuck, man, like there's a cool aspect to painting. It's not all blending quarter panels and, you know,
there's like a whole
repainting bumpers, but
I mean, I think unless you were like in SoCal or like somewhere where there was a huge custom scene, like I don't think it was common knowledge for a lot of people that like, oh, this is like its whole, like this is a whole like industry.
Yeah.
Like it's not just little guys in their shop. Like there's huge shops making like huge money, putting out high dollar cars or high dollar bikes, whatever it is. Like I just think the TV show stuff was a lot of like just kind of like showing that to the rest of the world or the rest of the US, wherever it aired.
Yeah. And I tell people all the fucking time, you know, when they, you know, you hear them talk about motorcycle shows, whether it was Sons of Anarchy or fucking, you know, the old biker build-off thing. It's like any of that shit being on TV is going to inspire people to be into this shit. You know what I mean? No matter how cheesy it is, it's all entertainment.
Or even to buy this shit.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like, what I did like is I love the fact that Jesse tried to stand up for shit being legit and being real and not some, you know, orchestrated like arguments and, you know, stuff that's pleasing to mindless idiots. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, like, you can watch like Outlaw Garage and I Never Fight with My Dad and then like punch a door in.
Yeah.
that was never part of any of that shit that we did. It was just, I mean, when you're in a shop and you have a crazy deadline, like the drama and the arguments are going to come naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to be right off the bat. At the bat, everybody's like, all right, guys, let's get this shit done. We can do this. And at the other one, it's like, if you look at me again, I'm going to punch you in the throat.
Yeah. It's a weird deal. It's a lot of, depends on the personalities, but I know when shit gets rough in my shop, you know, I'm just quiet. And when I'm quiet, then, you know, don't fuck with me. And that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. I'm not the explosion guy that's going to like scream at somebody, but I mean, I will if it comes down to it, but that hasn't happened as of yet. So
how long did you do all the bike stuff with Jesse and all that?
I did West Coast Choppers for I think 3.5 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a lot of work. I mean, there were some crazy deadlines that we did, but I mean, for the most part, it was a really good job. Like,
so you were a part of that whole like Discovery Channel thing they did that time, were you?
Which one?
The one where they had Gas Monkey. And,
yeah.
Yeah,
that was garbage. That was.
Something. You know, not to keep talking about Jesse. This is the last thing, but that show when he kind of called out everybody for being kind of, you know, what they were, that really stuck with me. You know what I mean? About how, you know, I don't like saying I build bikes. I like to say I modify them because, you know, that's all I'm doing is taking a part off and putting a part on, and maybe I do a little bit of, you know, fiberglass or you know, a couple welds here and there, but no real bike building, and I'm not building frames and shit. So But when I modify a bike, I want to modify it to be practical and be realistic and not some gimmick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I got that concept from that show and how he talked about all those dudes.
Yeah.
And
No, that whole project was a motherfucker. And I think it was too early, or I don't know what it was. I mean, I guess that kind of show, I mean, not to sound like a sore loser or anything, because I really had no dog in that fight, aside from like a couple things I did on that bike. But I think a lot of that shit was just like a popularity contest. I mean, I think, was that the year that Paul Sr. came out on like a snowmobile or something?
Yeah. It was
like
some retarded shit. And then
oh no, the year that I was involved was the year that Paul Sr. built the whole. He built Paul Sr. working a CNC machine. That would be awesome to watch. But they did like a whole CNC bike, and it was ridiculous. I mean, it was kind of a cool looking bike. I mean, it was probably one of the cooler things that they've made, if you can say any of their shit is cool. But but yeah, that whole thing was weird. It was Paul Jr. won that one with that hot rod, the flat black thing that had. Funny story about that tank on that bike. So I won't talk shit about them too much. But they built like this, for anybody that hasn't seen it, they built like this like giant, like all Paul Jr.'s bikes are like fucking huge. Like we're sitting at a 12-foot bar right now, and Paul Jr.'s bike would span this entire thing. Like they're just fucking gigantic. Shit. They're like so, I don't know how he does it or why he does it. But it has like this sheet metal gas tank that's like it's supposed to be like a Zephyr, like a Lincoln Zephyr front end on the front of it with like a grill. And you go up and you look underneath the gas tank, and it's all just like a raw edge. And it's all like, you can see all the patch panels on the inside. It's all like spray painted flat black inside. And then there's just like a box that they made out of sheet metal that's welded to the backbone of the bike. And that was their gas tank. Like the whole thing around it was just like this weird, like,
wow.
Cover. I wish the cameraman would have like shot up underneath it and just for one. It was crazy. But yeah, I digress.
So you're there for 3 years, and then when did you start kind of developing your brand and your shit? You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's gonna go back to Jesse. Jesse came up to me one day. I had been doing a ton of exhausts at West Coast Choppers, and it was when I was really starting to like showcase the pie cut stuff.
Yeah.
At that time, there wasn't a ton of pie cut work going on in the Harley industry. I mean, I think there was like one or maybe two exhausts that I had seen before that were full pie cuts, and I had known how to do that shit just from doing titanium work at the race car shops. I mean, because we didn't have mandrel bent titanium tubes, so it all had to be pie cut. I was like, all right, well, we'll try it with stainless. I'd done a lot of that and picked up a lot of traction. Like a lot of people really liked it, like on social media and stuff. And Jesse came up to me one day and he was like, you should start like doing exhausts on the side and selling them. He's like, that's what I did with fenders when I was working for Boyd. And at that, like when he said that, I mean, I had thought about it before. I was like, I could actually like make some good money on the side.
Kind of worried like he was gonna be like,
yeah, Jesse was not always the coolest with workers of his shop, like doing shit on the side. But when he said that, like I remember it was right before I came actually here to New Orleans for Christmas to see my parents. Mm-hmm. And then when I was down here, I was in the French Quarter. I was at a bar called Molly's on the Market. And I like had a notepad with me, and I was like writing up my whole business plan and everything. And when I went back to Austin, I just like went full bore with it, and I produced my first FXR exhaust. And yeah, I mean it just kind of snowballed from there. I started advertising it a lot. It took me like 3 months to sell my first one, because like everybody that followed me knew that I had worked like where I had worked or whatever, but they had never like, I don't know. I mean, they were just fans. They didn't want to buy anything,
Yeah.
So that whole creating a name for myself was a huge fucking challenge.
So what's the name from? Like,
Royalty?
Yeah.
Oh God.
There's got to be a story behind that.
It's my mom. It was my mom is really into rap.
Rap?
for whatever reason.
What?
Yeah, she's like 60-something-year-old white lady that is just, I mean, she's super into rap. I remember riding in the car with her, I think it was like early high school, and she sang all the words to 50 Cent's Magic Stick, like out loud in the car with me, and I was like throwing up in my mouth. It was like way too much. Like I couldn't hang. But yeah, she was always into rap for whatever reason. I mean, I grew up listening to like Salt and Pepper and all that shit.
Yeah. What a man.
Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, after I had left the house and after I was out on my own, she started signing all of her emails Royal T, because like our last name is Tilbury, and that was like going to be her rap name or whatever. And I mean, I was just thinking of it. I was like trying to come up with a name or whatever. Not come up with a name, but I was just going to call it like, I have no idea what I was going to call it, but Royalty kind of just came right off the bat, and it's like Royalty Racing, and I was like, oh, I can do cool shit with the logo with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like, it's not a mouthful or anything like that.
That's actually pretty fucking cool how it came about, though, to be honest with you.
I guess it's my mom's rap name. That's pretty cool, man.
So, yeah, because you started doing a couple exhaust systems for Cats Local and shit to Austin, because I think I'd seen a lot of the pipes running around there, obviously. Mm-hmm. When did it really start taking off? Like, when did it really, like, get overwhelming, more or less?
Well, I was still working at West Coast, and I was working from 9 a.m. to 5 or 6 there, and then it was like a 45-minute drive back to my house. So it was like 7:30ish by the time I got settled in the shop, and I'd be working till like 3 or 4 in the morning. Then I'd wake up and go to work at 9 a.m. And I really started like shitting the bed at work, like at my real job.
Yeah.
Once I started getting orders, like I was just like freaking out, I was like, I promised people like 1 week turnaround times and shit, like, and all of a sudden after I got like 10 orders, it was like, there's no way I can do this.
Yeah.
And I mean I was getting bad at the shop, and Jesse he came up to me, he's like, look man, like I don't think you should be here anymore. Like you should go. He basically fired me. It wasn't anything like crazy, like he gave me a hug afterwards or whatever, but he was just like, just focus on what you're doing, get that shit done. And I was like, all right. So I think it was once that happened, this was my only form of income, I really started pushing it, and I just kind of went crazy, like advertising as much as I could. When the customers got the pipes, they were in love with them. Like I still make every pipe on a bike.
Yeah,
so
I saw the jigs out there.
Yeah, just like guaranteed fitment. So I mean, I think to this day I've had like 4 or 5 installation problems out of like hundreds of pipes.
Yeah.
So I think just doing it that way, I mean, I'm not going to be able to do it that way forever, but I think that's the right way to do it. I'd like to keep doing it that way, but yeah, that was the snowballing point, was when I was finally doing it on my own, and that was like my only choice. I had nothing. I had already worked at like the 2 best shops in that area in Austin that I could.
So, once that happened and then the Royal T started taking off, I mean, were you just thinking, pipes? Or, I mean, what was your grand scheme idea for, product-wise for the company?
I'm still working on that. Like, as far as like machine parts go, I mean, there's dudes out there that are so good at like designing like machine parts. Like, you look at Dale Yamada at MJK.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was like chopper dude forever, and he always kind of hated that scene. Like he loved choppers, but he's just like, I think just that general vibe of the people or whatever, like he just was over it really quick because he was a really serious, like really technical guy.
Yeah.
Like if you look at any of his builds, like they're actually like super like solid. But yeah, I mean, I still don't know what the future is for Royalty. I mean, we do some pretty nice full builds. I mean, I'm in love with my Dyna, even though it's not done yet. I got the build that me and you are doing between for the guy in New Jersey, Gerald, the dentist / professional arm wrestler. It's just like the coolest shit in the world. But But yeah, I mean, I'd like to do full builds. I'd like to produce our own line of products, was mainly focusing on exhaust. But if I can branch out into bars or anything, it comes down to what I can manage, really.
Yeah.
I don't know that people will buy shit, but I feel like there is that customer base out there that has the same style and taste that I have. I mean, I may never be a millionaire or anything, but as long as I'm producing really quality parts, then I'm happy with that.
The best part about it is that, even like you being on this podcast and you're not PM, you know what I mean? You're not, Vance and Hines. So it's like,
yeah, I mean,
a lot of people are, kind of turned on by the idea of like feeling like you're buying from, one of the homies, There's a lot of people that like that. And there's also a lot of people that feel like they're buying from the homies and they want to hook up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or they want it immediately.
Yeah.
That's my biggest challenge. That's been my whole thing right now, is trying to streamline how to put out quality parts in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've got it figured out now. I mean, I've got 2 guys that I'm training. One of them's been a welder. The other one is apprenticing, basically, and he'll be a prep guy for a while. And but the guy that I've been training, I mean, I put him through like boot camp for welding, especially welding thin wall stainless tubing.
Trust me, I wanted to come down and do the boot camp.
Fuck. Anytime you want, you're just gonna have to. Once you get good, you're gonna have to stay. But no, I mean that's the biggest thing, is trying to figure out how to put out really nice parts. Like, just having integrity with your business is a huge thing, And I mean, I'm really bad at communicating. My girlfriend will tell you that. But with customers, I try my best, but even then, like, I still need somebody here, like in this room. I have a phone set up right over there. Like, I need somebody on the phones. Like, I want people to call. I want them to get an answer. But half the time, I'm like head down welding, and I can hear my phone ringing because my phone's plugged into the speaker. But I'm just gonna like stop in the middle of a weld. I got
everything. It's a lot of shit.
Everything.
It's a mess. Man, I think you got a good thing going. I mean, this location, and then the brand, the pipes themselves are, the only thing I think that you can do. I think the best thing to do is start having, Sportster pipes and a few different ideas for the bagger pipe. That way people have. It just seems like a great thing. And then, you get a couple welders out there sweatshopping it up, you know what I mean? As long as they're doing the good shit, then I think I think the pipe thing is dope, man. Like,
no, I mean, I've had even my own pipes. I've been like packing them up to ship them, and then I'll throw them in the scrap bin. I mean, it's happened like 3 or 4 times before, where it's like I'm packing something up, and I was like, I didn't realize that I was welding at like 3 a.m, and I was just like, my eyeballs were fried. And I'll look at it as I'm packing it up, and I'll call the customer. I'll just be like, look, I can't send you this one. Give me like another week, and I'll have it out to you. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll be glad. I'll give you what you paid for. But I mean, as far as branching off into like Sportster and doing different models, like, that's definitely in the plans. But it's just, like I said, it's what I can manage right now. I got to keep it kind of small. Yeah. There's not. I'm not in SoCal or anything. There's not a lot of people around here that TIG weld or anything like that.
Yeah, I think, man, like I said, it's exciting though. I mean, I like seeing this place grow, and even just watching, all the Instagram stuff that you post about it, and seeing how you turn this little thing into this little, and who would have thought, like, on the corner of this, there's a fucking cemetery across the street, and
we're surrounded by them.
And and then in this corner there's like a fucking handcrafted exhausts and shit like that for motorcycles.
Yeah.
What's the scene like down here, other than I know a lot of Banshees run around here. This is their mother chapter, right?
Yeah, there's Banshees and Galloping Goose. Those are the big clubs that you see down here. But I mean, the scene is, I don't know, it's kind of like just all of New Orleans. It's super unorganized. It's spread out. Like, we try to do like bike nights, like on Wednesdays or whatever, but it's, you might get like 3 guys show up. I mean, I think in Louisiana, Harley is 50% or 60% of the market. I mean, there's a ton of Harleys down here, but it's just getting everybody together. It's super hard. I mean, there's not like, I'm trying to make this place because I got the big parking lot that's all
Yeah.
gated and everything. Like, I've been trying to do Wednesday night things, but it's just it's
Dude,
hard
it'd be
to find
dope.
time.
You know, especially once you keep getting all this shit dialed in. You put a little bar somewhere out there.
Yeah.
Or just where you.
No,
can,
it's in the works. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do an outdoor bar. I mean, I got my indoor bar that still needs a bar top, but it's just, I mean, fuck.
Well, just you're creating
time.
you're creating a really like awesome atmosphere. Like the atmosphere is dope. You know what I mean? So it's just like when you in your shop. I walked in there and I'm like, it's so clean, it's organized, and it's like I want to work. I want to get to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like I think for shop guys like myself, then that's like a kid in a candy store. But then, when you have some badass bikes and then you have some people start rolling up and it becomes the Wednesday night hangout, fuck, dude, that sounds like, I wish you were in Dallas, man, because that sounds way funner than going to goddamn High Five or Hooters or whatever. And then you got to
Redneck Heaven? Don't y'all have
yeah,
those
we
up
have
there?
that shit.
I got kicked out of one of those.
There's one out there where y'all, yeah. So, I mean, I think that's dope. I don't, like I said, this is my first, 2 hours of ever being in New Orleans and so I don't know the scene, but I feel like they got a fucking lucky deal with you down here and what you're doing and what you're bringing to the table.
No, I mean, as soon as I moved down here, like, I didn't know anybody. I mean, I had a couple people that I had hung out with here, like, during summers before or whatever, when I was in, like, grade school.
Yeah.
But like, as soon as I moved down here, like, there was a definite, like, oh, shit, that's my UPS guy out front.
It's all good. You can handle it.
I can go handle that real
Yeah.
quick? All right.
That's my perforated tubing for my mufflers.
Somebody's parts are coming in on the mail right now. What's up, Black Jetty? You awake?
Just resting.
Guess I'll text my wife. She's pretty mad.
Sorry about that. This is a sample for some perforated tubing I'm trying to use for our mufflers.
It's all good. Just texting my wife. She was kind of wondering when I was on the text her to call her.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, it's all good. What were we talking about? The area down here. But what what about your Born Free bill? Like, we need to talk about that. That's
Yeah, we can talk about that.
yeah. Explain what the fuck that is.
All right. So there was a motor that when I was working at West Coast, Jesse had it above his bolt bin in his personal shop, and it was just kind of thrown together. It had no internals or anything. And I'd always stared at it like it was super cool. He didn't really know the story on it. Like, he had a little information about it. But when it came time, when I got the invite for Born Free, I was thinking about that motor, and I called Jesse. I was like, "Look, you got any like cool shit that you'd want to sell? I'm not super into this scene, like the old school chopper shit or anything like that." I called a couple other people, but I don't know. I kind of had my eyes on that motor, and I don't know. He told me he would sell it to me. He didn't give me a price right off the bat, but it was something where I like knew I was going to have to come up with like a gang of money to make it happen. And he ended up giving me a really good deal. But basically what the motor is, it's a Harley bottom end. It's a 46 UL bottom end. So it's a 80-inch flathead. There's this company in Australia. These guys were like speedway racers. It was a dad and a son. It was called Myers and Son Racing, or Myers and Son Motors. And they had taken a Harley bottom end and made an overhead valve conversion for it. They made their own cylinders and everything. and they put it in their what was it? It was their sidecar speedway bike. And there was like the prototype. That was like kind of them going in. They didn't want to go through the process of making like a crank and everything, making a whole bottom end. Yeah. So they just used a Harley bottom end because they had one. And fuck. Hold on, give me a second. I just fucking ran.
It's all good.
Just for anybody listening, I just ran up like 3 flights of stairs. Just ran back down. All right. I'm good. All right. I'm all right. But yeah, so they had used this, they used the Harley bottom end and they wanted to compete in the sidecar racing. So they decided to basically try to go into V-twins, and they made their own, top end, and they did like 5 or 6 races with it, and it like dominated once they got it done. Mm-hmm. And, they took it out after the 5 or 6 races to inspect it, and they put it on their workbench. They were going to go over, see what all the tolerances were. It hadn't blown up yet, so they figured it was good, but they just wanted to check on everything, see if anything was wearing out prematurely. And when they came in the next morning, the shop had been broken into and the motor was gone. And that was in like 1960-something. I don't know the exact year that it happened, but
it's probably like a competition broke.
Yeah. It was, so basically, the motor got stolen, and then it got sold to like some Hells Angels. And it went through this network, and it made its way from Brisbane, Australia to Long Beach, California in the 90s is where it finally like resurfaced again. And some guy, I don't know if he was HA affiliated or not or anything, but he sold it to Jesse. Jesse bought it, and Jesse couldn't find anything. I mean, the internet wasn't really like popping off back then, so it wasn't like you can go on Google and find like archives or anything. But yeah, so Jesse had it, and he found out that it was Meyerson. That was that was like the name that he gave me, but it was spelt wrong the way he had it. So I just started searching MSM, which is Myers and Son Motors, and I found a message board from 2000. It's the only thing that I could find on Google. I mean, I was on like page 20 of like the Google search. Like I just kept going and going. And it was like page 20, there was this message board of an archived post from 2000, and it was a guy, I can't remember what his name was, it'll come back to me, but he said something like, it was a Speedway message board, and it said, "Oh, do you remember Clary Myers in his Harley-based overhead valve V-twin? He raced it a few times. That thing really went. I just wanted to see if anybody knew or had any pictures of it." Like that was his whole post, and nobody after that knew anything about it. Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole thread was over after like 2 days in 2000. Mm-hmm. So I tried to message that guy, but it was an archived post, and I guess I fucked up, and I posted on that message board, and I guess I brought that post back from the dead, and the forum was still around. The next day, Alan Myers, who's the son of Clary Myers that owned Myers and Son Motors, emailed me. And he told me, like, basically, he's like, "Hey, me and my dad built that motor together. We haven't seen it in like 50 years. Wow. Like, it got stolen out of our shop. You really have it?" And I sent him pictures of it, and he was like, "Holy shit." Like, he's like, "We thought we heard something about Jesse owning it, but we couldn't get in contact with anybody, so we figured it was just a rumor."
It's crazy that like it's a stolen motor and they're not did they want it back or?
No, I mean he's never. I mean I told him, I was like, "Look, like when I get this thing together, I mean it was. I don't have the actual original bottom end. All I have is the cylinders and the heads. Jesse had like a set of matching cases for a 46U, which was what they used. But yeah, I mean, I've been emailing back and forth with Alan Myers. That guy is in his 70s. Like he built this bike. He built this motor when he was in his 20s. Crazy. In Australia, and like it's just this weird like connection we got like just through this motor. But he's I mean, fuck, he remembers all the details. Like he just sent me a message the other day, like with all of like the timing settings that they had and like what the specs on the heads were, what the valves were. The valves were out of this company, I can't remember what the name was, but it was an engine company that built Formula One motors for Lotus and it was Lotus and Fiat in the 60s, and they used a valve train from that in this in their heads that they made for this flathead motor. And the thing was like 15-to-1 compression on methanol.
Damn.
Like it's got to be a fucking monster. So I'm trying to build it as close to the specs that he's given me as possible.
So what are you gonna do about the bottom end? Are you just gonna?
They ran stock bottom end.
So do you have one?
I have the cases. I got the flywheels. I got the shafts and everything already. The flywheels are on the way from Truett and Osborne. There is what is the guy's name? I can't remember the dude's name, but there's a company in California that I think they're in Sacramento that are going to relobe the cams for me because it's 2 front heads. Because that they basically use heads off their single cylinder 700cc or 750cc bikes and just open them up a bit or whatever they had to do. But so we'll have to get the rear cylinder. I don't know. I'm not an engine builder. It's like reverse grind cams. I guess it makes sense because it's. But yeah, so
what do you think? Have you even fucked with sketches yet on trying to get a layout for the bike? Or you
I know exactly what I'm building.
For real?
Yeah. No, Alan kind of pleaded to me. He's like, look, Speedway was like in our blood. Like that was me and my dad's big connection. If you can build it like just Speedway based, that would be awesome. And I'm like, fuck, no transmission, no brakes. Like, of course I'll do less shit that I have to make or deal with. Like, absolutely. So I'm going to build like a really like stylized, really clean, really well done, understated, like Speedway bike. It's not going to win. I mean, there's no way it'll win, but for fabricators, it'll be like somebody that's really into that shit will really enjoy looking at it.
I think that's the best way to go at shows. Now, the fact that you were an invited builder, that's awesome. It gives you a reason to do something, a reason to build something. But, the coolest part about doing those shows is just doing them. It's just building a bike and showing it off with the homies. Who gives a shit about the trophy? You know what I mean? Really? Like, the best part about and we talk about a lot of this on other podcasts about some of the bagger dudes from the bagger scene. Yeah, they get real, and it's in all scenes. It's everything.
I know, trust me. When I did the hot bike tour, I got a little glimpse into the bagger world.
Yeah,
and it's like Real Housewives shit. It's like
that's the best way to put it.
So much drama, man. It's crazy.
Jetty's fucking nodding his head over there. He just saw it firsthand this weekend in Daytona. But no, that
he said what?
Yeah. So. But the cool thing, I think the best way to do a show is just about the competitiveness of building a bike and putting your best foot forward. But who gives a fuck about who gets first place? It's just
it's really about beating yourself.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. Is like I know what I've done before. Now that's the biggest thing whenever I have any type of bike to build or any type of like challenge presented to me in my world of like fabrication, it's like, all right, how do I do what's better? Like if somebody asked me to do a pie cut exhaust, I'm stuck for like at least a week trying to figure out what I'm going to do that's going to be better than what I did last. Mm-hmm. It's not even a conscious thing that I'm doing, but I'm like just realizing it, it's like, I don't want to do something that's not as good as something I've done before.
Yeah, I can't imagine for you building an exhaust and then, you got 15 orders of the same pipe, same bike. The repetitiveness and just
it dumbs you down.
But I know that you see it every day at that point, and you're like, man, if I just turn this way right here, that's gonna be so much. So I could see where like the subtle differences and the subtle changes in a pipe would be exciting.
Yeah, and I do shit to customers' pipes without them knowing. Like I'm like trying shit out on their pipes, but they have to realize it when they get the pipe that it's not like the picture that's on the website. Like the quality's there. It's just a different kind of design with the primaries or whatever. But I think that kind of makes them dig it more. Like nobody has the same pipe. I can say that for a fact that none of my customers have the same pipe. Like something might be cut like a 16th inch shorter or whatever, but a lot of times when I start getting like bored or like in a slump, I'll just start fucking with customers' pipe and they'll get something and they'll fucking, I'm not going to ship it out unless I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. So basically you're going to kind of push this in a Speedway design. So how would you like describe that for people that aren't familiar with you know, the look of how the bike or the stance of it, more or less.
Speedway bikes are crazy, man. I mean, you can buy a fully like a race ready speedway bike brand new for like $7,500.
For real.
Yeah, they're cheap. I mean, I was like looking at the parts for them, and I mean, I can't use any of those parts, but I mean, they're like really like just very inexpensive bikes to build. I mean, it's not a huge scene over here in the U.S. I mean, they call them like speedway or grass track bikes. But I mean, it's a really short wheelbase. I think it's 54 inches is like the maximum. And it's 23-inch front wheel, 19-inch rear wheel. There's no transmission. It's a thing called a lay gear assembly, which looks basically like a fishing reel. It's just it's
kind of like a fucking like bicycle, like a
kind of, yeah. I mean, it's there's 2 gears on it. One of it's for the clutch. The only reason you have a clutch is so you can like come to a stop or like idle at a start. You can't. There's no starter or anything on them. I don't know, man. They're wild. Like they're super cool, and it's like they go up to like, I think with some of the sprocket ratios, you can go like 110 miles an hour on them.
Damn, on fucking no gears.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
Wow.
one long gear. I mean, like what I'm doing on my bike is a 14-tooth front gear and a 66-tooth rear gear.
Holy shit.
So it's like the rear gear is like a 13-inch diameter fucking,
Yeah.
It's like going to cover the whole wheel.
Goddamn stunt sprocket.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what they use. And I mean, I'm really into them right now. I think
That's really fucking interesting though. That's really cool that, you know, to like dive into a completely different type of motorcycle and then put your twist on it. You're fabricating knowledge and your own personal design on a type of bike. You know what I mean? Like that's fucking dope, man.
But I mean, the reason for doing the whole lay gear assembly and to having it no transmission is because I'm putting a V twin. Most of these things are single cylinder, so they're like a 500 or 750. So there's this geometry you gotta have like this look, like the profile of the bike. And the biggest things with Harleys to me is they have the separate transmission that's out back.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden the bottom of the frame gets real long. These speedway bikes are like they're real sharp V's in the middle.
Yeah,
of
so
it.
it's going to be like the older fucking heart, like the
Yeah.
before the V twin, almost in some of
the
them.
real early stuff. So yeah, it's going to be. I mean, there's no transmission. There's going to be really no gap, but behind the motor, it's just going to go straight into like the rear wheel section of it.
Damn.
So that was part of my like process was figuring out how to make a. I mean, this V twin is huge. Like these guys, like. I mean, they take a flathead. Flatheads are pretty short motors, but they had to put an overhead valve conversion on it. I mean, this motor is probably like 4 inches taller than like a panhead. I mean, it's gigantic. But to get that geometry right, that was kind of like my little thing that I wanted to do is get rid of the transmission, just make it a straight up speedway bike, and still get that correct look, like that.
So
the
is
proportions
it still
are right.
like? Would you still say is it streetable at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna ride it to the bar and shit.
Hell yeah, that's
No,
cool.
No, I mean it's gonna be. I think right now what we're going with is gonna be like 13-to-1 compression on like race gas. So I mean, you have to have a starter cart for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to bump start it or anything. So you're gonna have a separate starter cart. And I think for me, it's kind of ensures that bike's gonna be around for a while.
Yeah.
It's not something that like some like yuppie dude's gonna buy and get drunk and then crash it, and then like these are one-of-one castings on the motor and they're all fucked up.
Well,
So-
you know what's cool is like basically you can carry on what that motor was for, you know.
Oh,
who-
and the
who
coolest
knows?
part about it is Alan Myers, the 20-year-old that designed and helped put this motor together, is flying out to Born Free to see his motor after 50 years.
That's badass.
Yeah, this dude's in his 70s and he's fucking flying out to do it. So.
Is he still living in like Australia? and
Yeah,
shit?
he's in Brisbane, Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, he's retired.
No pressure, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I told a couple of my friends about it, and I was like, "Yeah, like, I really got to finish this one.
Yeah.
This one's like
It's not a 2-year
this
deadline
is
on this
for
one.
real." Yeah. So
the frame, like, how are you gonna do that? I mean, you're just gonna. I mean, fuck, dude, it's already March, man. You
I
got
know.
3 months.
fuck, we built a lot of bikes in 3 months at West Coast, so that's kind of like my. I know I can do it. Especially this one is super simple. I mean, it's speedway bikes are just dumbed down. I mean, they're no transmission, no brakes, no brake lines, no brake levers, nothing you got to worry about. I mean, they only have 1 foot peg on them. I mean, I'm kind of using the speedway bike as my out to like get this thing done in time, but Alan Myers requested it, so that's what I'm going to go with. I don't want to disrespect that guy, and I wouldn't want to put that kind of motor in like a fucking chopper or something. I love choppers, don't get me wrong, but this is not. It's not the motor for that kind of bike.
See, you know, and I've talked to you a lot about how I want to really get into welding, but you know, this podcast alone, I mean, you know, 2 weeks ago, I talked to Oliver from the Cut Rate, and listening to his story and how he got where he's at and what he's done and taught himself how to do, you know, in the choppers he's worked on, and then hanging around Carlos and then our other mutual friend, FXR Mike. It's like all I want to do now is just like weld something on a frame and actually ride it. You know, I want to hardtail something, or I want to you know, chop something. I want to build a chopper for myself, but you know, I have such fucking talented friends that I'm surrounded by all the time that I want to learn from and be able to, you know, do my own shit, you know. And but, you know, and it's crazy because like a lot of people go from choppers and they move forward towards, you know, more conventional, you know, fuel injection and twin cams and shit like that. And here I am, like my first Harley was a 2012 Road Glide, and I'm slowly working my way back to shittier motors. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I think as long as you, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that the guys that were into like what's considered the cool shit, like the early chopper scene or anything like that, the guys now that are into that and they're like starting to like buy like a new diner or whatever, like I think it's all the same. Like nobody, I don't think anybody's cooler than anybody. I think most of those dudes are all nerds anyways. Yeah. So like, I don't know.
For me, it's you know, I like to ride, you know, I like to do some long trips, you know, even though, you know, right now I'm fucking gung-ho on a van, and I just want to put a bike in a van and then go somewhere and then pull it out. What kind of van are you going to get? Honestly, you know, this weekend, me and my wife are going to go, I was either going to go the cheap route and do like an express van, like a Chevy.
Get you a Sprinter van, man.
I want a Sprinter. I just need to see, here's the deal. If
I can drive mine at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can move the bagger.
Dos Equis, I'll let you take that thing around the block.
Here we go. If I can move the bagger, then it's probably going to be a Sprinter van. If the bagger takes a while, then I might just do an express van for like this year and then do the Sprinter. But, you know, me and my wife want to travel and do some shit like that. And fortunately, you know, I'm pretty connected with a lot of people across the country. So I could easily go out for 2 months and make plenty of money. Yeah. And, you know, and we can just kind of see the country that way. And that's kind of what we want to do. But at the same time, you know, we're also kind of expanding our shop. We're building a lot of things. So there's a lot of ifs. Mm-hmm. I'm basically just, you know, I'm working on all my dreams at the same time. And whichever one gets closer to reality, I'm going to stick with that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
no,
like,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to put more focus on the one you want more anyway.
Yeah.
So you're going to get what you want.
So the wife and I, we want to do the van thing, but we also, you know, we want what you got here. We want a nice, cool location, a shop, and all this. So it's like,
you want a abandoned doctor's office in the middle of the hood.
You know what? Maybe not when I walk. Maybe not when you first walked in here, but after seeing it now and seeing where you've taken it and where it's gonna go, fuck yeah, this is dope. Like I would totally. I tried to picture on the idea of living in the shop, like finding a cool place that actually has some type of living quarters in it.
That's a double-edged sword, though. I mean,
it is.
I've done it for I did it in Austin, too. I built a shop in my backyard, and it was, it's cool, but you just don't ever get away from it. So, like, every morning I wake up early and I drive to a little corner store that's like in the French Quarter, and then I drive back, and that's like my drive to work. Like I just gotta like get away from it and then come back to it, you know.
Well, you know, I used to have a huge shop, and then when I was doing mainly baggers, and then when I stepped out of that scene, I didn't need that shop anymore, so I moved all my art and design and graphic shit at home, and rented space from a friend that had a paint booth. So I was at home all the time, and it was kind of cool. You know, there was parts of it that was nice, but you know, I still had that if I needed to, I'd drive to the shop thing. But, you know, I'm one of those guys that I'll lay in bed and I'll get an idea And and I'm not going to sleep. Next thing you know, I'm on Pinterest, I'm on fucking Instagram,
Yeah.
I'm on this, I'm on
I do
that.
that, trust
And
me.
sometimes it's like it's like, fuck, man. I really want to weld right now, or I really want to fucking pinstripe or do something like that, and I could walk outside and do it, or whatever, And I'm into so much shit, dude, from photography to the computer graphic stuff that I do for like art and everything. And then now welding is another thing, and it's kind of like one of those things. I'm not really that good at it, but it's fun to every time you do 1 inch, it looks great. And you're like, fuck yeah, I'm doing it. And then the next inch, that next inch is shit. But it's like this like honey dicking thing that's going on with welding in me. It's like, hey, look, you're pretty good. Oh, psych. It's like, it's kind of doing that. So it's
that
fun.
never stops either.
Yeah, I imagine.
I guess the more experience you get, the more shit you start nitpicking. I'm sure it's like with paint.
Yeah, 100%.
Like when you first start out, it's just like kind of like this broad thing that you want to do, and like you see it and you do something and you're like, oh yeah, that looks really good. I'm good. Yeah. And then like as you get more into it, you're like, fuck, I suck at this part of it, or I need to fucking get better. I need to clean this up. It's
crazy because like I think a lot of people trade base, whether it is paint or welding or whatever, you get to a point where it's passable. And then I think some of us, I can't speak on you, but I know myself and other friends, like it would kind of go to our heads like, fuck man, I made it. I'm there. I'm the one. And then a year later, just 6 months later, you see that work again. You're like, holy fuck, like my attitude compared to what I thought I did. You know what I mean? Like it's bad.
No, I think that's just kind of the natural learning curve. Like people get confidence and shit, and then as they get better at it, they're like, oh fuck, I sucked. I shouldn't have said any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all been there in one way or another.
I've definitely put my foot, all of them, in my mouth before, just growing up and even now, like, I'm to a level, but man, I have friends that blow me out of the water paint wise, a bunch of them. And so, but being friends with those people and being around them inspire me to want to be better. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like this constant like growth where you never quite plateau is the main thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
As soon as you get comfortable and you plateau,
I've done that, dude. I plateaued. I feel like I'm coming off of a couple of years now. This last year and a half or so, I feel like I've reinvented some things, even though they're not reinvented paint jobs. They're just for my portfolio. They're new, and it's kind of helped me start progressing and starting to focus on things. You know,
you might call it plateau. I call it getting burnt out. Like, I get to the point now where it's like every like 4 or 5 months, I just like. There's at least like 1 week where I'm just like struggling to get anything done in the shop, It's a lot of like repeating shit. Like the production exhaust stuff, I've built like hundreds of like Dynapipes that are all, for the most part, the same kind of pipe. But it's I don't know if I'd call it a plateau, but I just get to a point where it's just like I need to like fucking do something different. Weld something different.
What's helped me deal with that thing, because I do it. I can go 3 weeks doing the same shit, and then I get to that point where I'm like, fuck, I'm done. I'm not doing this tomorrow. Yeah. And what helps me, I mean, I don't know what your hobbies are other than like the work, but my hobby's riding bikes. You know what I mean? So, going to Daytona and doing this was like it was 1,100 miles of thinking and working out shit in my head. Yeah. Or figuring out 6 ways to get $1 million, and then obviously forgetting at the end, but it kind of helps clear your mind. And when you get down there, you do your shit, you see a lot of great people's work, and that turns into inspiration that you think about on the ride home. And so when I come back to work on next Monday, I'm gonna be fucking like a fire under my ass, because I haven't done it for a week, but I'm actually still doing something that's benefiting the business, by being in Daytona and talking to people and showing off, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And then you come home with like a little bit of juice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, I kind of get that. I mean, just for me, it's just I don't know. I guess it's different for me because like I'm sitting there like welding production pipes or whatever, and I have my frame bench over there, and like the Born Free build's coming up, and like I have stuff that I'm excited to do. but I know that there's shit I have to get done before I can start doing the exciting shit. And it's
day.
just like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a struggle constantly. I mean, when we started that bike, the race dyna, that one was like, I had my business partner at the time, James. I just put him like on production shit full time, and he was busting pipes out, and I got to spend like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, I knocked the frame out, I got the turbo kit done, like everything, and I was like, after that, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll do pipes again. Like,
yeah,
just go right back to it.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man. It's I don't think there's any answer to like how to do it the right way. I think it's just like trying to deal and cope with it and figure out, you know, your groove and understanding your, you know, your mental, how your shit works.
The answer is to just not care and then hire people that suck and fucking have them bust shit out for you.
Yeah.
but
yeah,
you have to be a certain kind of person to do that.
Yeah, it's a tough fine line because you know, for anybody to stay in business, you know, you have to put out, you know, work. But, you know, man, I my little brother, he's worked for me for, you know, almost 10 years now. Mm-hmm. And he's almost at a point where I think he's almost to the point where he's realizing that this is his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be a SoundCloud rapper, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I had that realization like last week. Like, oh shit, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. So it's like once you kind of like accept that, then you can like look at what you're doing with a better focus and a better vision, and then you can start finding ways to change it and make it different because you're actually giving it 100% of your attention instead of like before where you're looking at it like this is my 9 to 5 and then I can't wait to clock out to go play fucking, you know, Skyrim or fucking a video game or some shit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think the second you're a clock puncher, you should start moving on. You should start looking at other options. Yeah. You know, that's. I
realized that because when I was working at one of those paint shops, you know, I was like, he worked 7 days a week. You know, I didn't have to work the weekends, but then next thing you know, I'm coming up there on Saturday just to hang out.
Yeah.
I'm like, why the fuck am I here?
Yeah, I mean, that was like, I worked, when I was at West Coast, I mean, fuck, I lived 45 minutes from where I worked, and like on Saturdays, I would still go up there just because I know there's shit going on.
Yeah.
And there's something like kind of like rewarding about standing around while everybody else he works with works. Like, just like not doing shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I used to do that all the time. I mean, I guess also when you work in that kind of shop environment, like those people are your friends, you know. So if they're up there, you want to go up and hang out with them. I mean, even if you're not really contributing.
I mean, shit, like
which you'll end up doing.
Yeah. Anyway.
After a couple hours.
So you think about all those like in-depth conversations you have with the guys you work with in those shops, and then like that really they really become the closest people in your life.
Fuck yeah, you're with them more than when you're with your wife or your girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when there's deadlines coming up.
Yeah. So that shit, you know, and then, you know, like you feel like you're missing out whenever you're at home and things are still taking place at the shop. Like, you come in on Monday, like, dude, you hear what Paul did on fucking Saturday? Yeah. Nah, man, what happened? Dude,
we caught on fire. Yeah. It was awesome.
Like, oh shit, I didn't catch that. That's crazy, man. So the shirts, man. What all the clothes? I saw you dropping some new shit. What's up with that?
They will be here. Like I told you, if you came here next Saturday, it would be next weekend would have been perfect. I would have had the dyno would be sitting in here, the clothes would be here. But yeah, I've got a whole like thing of merch coming out. I finally found a company that's like they're not like a merch company, they're more of like a branding company. So you can send them like I created like a mood board for them, like just showed them like all the shit that I was really into, and then I kind of helped them refine a couple of the designs. After
Dude, that's good. I'm gonna have to get that info because as a designer, I want to find someone that I can
These are good, man.
Yeah, I can let them take my ideas and show me them in a better.
Well, with these guys, you send them like. They asked me if I knew what a mood board was. I was like, fuck yeah, I already got one created for y'all. So I like emailed it over to them. And it was just like all the shit that I'm into. I mean, it was stuff from like 80s like basketball logos.
Yeah.
Like, I think 70s and 80s sport logos are just like so fucking gangster. Like,
yeah, like what was that fucking Will Ferrell movie, the Tropic Thunder?
Tropic Thunder, yeah.
It was like the Tropics or something. They were from Michigan or some shit.
Fuck, I know the name of the movie. It's gonna drive me crazy. I've seen it a million times.
Yeah, but their fucking like logo and shit.
Yeah,
was dope.
just like all that old shit. Like I'm really into that. And he told me that, or the guy that I talked to told me, like, they have like 8 or 9 designers, and they show them to him, and they show you like your mood board to them, and then whichever ones have like the closest style, I think they kind of have you figured out. They send you like 50 designs, and then you can pick out. It can be one, or it can be like 20 of them.
That's cool. So they basically refine the graphics.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it doesn't even have to. You don't have to send. I mean, you send them your logo or whatever, your name.
Yeah.
But just other shit that you like, like
that's cool, man.
It's kind of like what I do for customers, like they'll show me exhaust that they like or whatever. If I'm doing a custom pipe or a custom bike, they show me shit that they like, and I kind of like refine it for them, and I make sure that they realize that it's like, this is what's cool, this is what's timeless, and kind of walk you through it, because I'm fucking clueless in the merch fucking industry. Like,
I need to let go of my shit, but it's finding people
like
that
a 12 o'clock boys fucking t-shirt.
finding people that you can trust to like, you got to think like your t-shirt is a representation or maybe even a first impression of your shop to some people.
Yeah.
So letting go of that control for me has been hard, but I have to, because the last shirt I came out with was weak as fuck.
Well,
basically,
mine, I just need somebody that's more mature than me.
Oh, there you go.
My last shirt. I mean, I still think it was the
I
coolest
like that
shirt
the fucking sun, the beach scene.
Yeah, the kid
dude.
wheeling by.
Dude, I wanted to fucking do like an airbrush looking T-shirt with like dolphins and shit. But
See, I'm agreeing with you. I'm wrong. If you want to sell shit, you don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's crazy. I
still have every small left. Every box, like in that room.
So the merch will be out, and you got hats coming and all that shit.
I got hats. I got T-shirts. Yeah, I mean, we'll have hoodies when it starts to get cold again. I know it's still cold.
Fuck
up
yeah,
north.
dude! It's still cold in Daytona right now.
Yeah,
fucking 30 degrees. That's what you text me earlier. It's like, hey, what's taking so long to get here? Because when we left the house, it was 30-something degrees. When we left.
Heard that next week is Black Bike Week. That's the one that I would want to go to.
And it's supposed to be 80 degrees in Daytona next week.
Fuck yeah, because they know what's up.
Yeah, they did it. White people do everything wrong.
White people, man, we got to get together. No, I want to like go and set up a booth at Black Bike Week. Like, I think that's probably a way better party. Like no fucking affliction, like no fucking like Buck Cherry playing everywhere.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
that's actually, I've been to Black Bike Week at fucking Myrtle Beach before.
Really?
Yeah.
How was that?
Awesome. I mean, it was cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy. You know what? That's one thing I will say. Everybody's happy. Pretty much every dude there is trying to get laid.
Fuck yeah.
So there's no like, even all the bike clubs, they're not all fucking trying to, macho dick everybody.
No,
you know what I mean?
Trying to like.
You can't find condoms anywhere. They're fucking sold out not that I was looking. This is a long time ago.
It's something you observed.
Yeah, I was looking at candy bars and the condoms were right next to it, and I was
like, I can't eat those.
But no, so yeah, everybody's just having a good fucking time, and that's kind of like a better testament of how it should be. I mean, you summed it up a while ago the best. Like Daytona was just now. We pretty much saw Affliction's 2017 line of clothing.
When is that crowd gonna die off? I mean, dude, fuck.
No,
they've been there for like 10 years now.
There's stragglers. There's a part of the country right now that's still like big wheel baggering it up, like it's still the coolest thing to be, and they're fucking holding on. You know what? You ever go to a bike event or just a bike show or whatever, and you see that one dude that's still holding on to the TV chopper, the billet chopper thing?
Yeah.
He's still got a couple shirts from back then. He got from Billy Lane.
Yeah.
He's old as fuck now. He's washed up, but that was his high school football game.
Yeah.
He's
wearing his leather jacket.
He was living at that time. He's never letting go of that time. And I think that right now we're starting to see some of the bagger dudes that just can't adapt.
Yeah.
And realize, you know what, I had a good time in my, 30s or 40s or 20s, whatever it was. But I'm over this now. I want to find a new excitement, a new fun instead of dwelling the same shit forever. I
mean, it's got to be dying. I mean, I had Baggers Inc., that company in Arizona. Like, I talked to I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but I talked to him, and I built a pipe for his brother who has a tattoo shop in Arizona, and then he also has a tattoo shop in where is it? Lafayette? Like, of all places. Like, he just came and visited there once, and he's like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to open up a tattoo shop here. And apparently he has, like, a knucklehead parked in the front window or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's, like, a cool guy. And the Baggers Inc., like, that, they were, like, fucking huge with the big wheel baggers. And now they're backing off of it. They're like, yeah, I mean, we just kind of did it because that's what was popular.
Yeah,
that
it
was
was money.
what paid our rent. But now this performance bagger thing is... This performance bagger thing's coming out. Like, this is kind of like...
It's a good niche for you, for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of weird, but it's like... I think it's cool, too. I mean, I love seeing my pipe on like one of the new baggers, even like the older baggers. I think it's...
The good thing about the performance bagger scene is that, you know, you're...
It's crazy, though, right? Can we say that it's crazy? Is that... I mean, it's like a 900-pound bike.
It is, but it's the same difference.
It's like you're proving a point. It's like,
yeah,
I'm not riding a horse. I'm riding a fucking buffalo. like I'm gonna do it, and this is gonna be cool.
I think what it is it's like, you know, if you take, you know, let's say like a 70 or 69 Camaro or one of those old fucking badass muscle cars, right?
Yeah,
they're not fucking fast.
Yeah,
compared to fucking Supra, RX-7, even RX-72, you know,
even a new fucking like 6-cylinder Mustang.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just come a long way.
But when you beef them up, you know, they have that throat to it, that throatiness. They have that grittiness, and then you make them fast, and people, you know, it's the thing. They're not fast and they're big.
No,
so
I mean,
when you make them cool, now you're like.
I was just talking shit, but I have a supercharged bagger, so.
But yeah, it's just good to see, you know, another trend coming along. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like hope, you know. I mean, I think right now with the way that Harley is looking at everything, you know, I think a lot of people are on the edge if they should like put their money into buying a Harley or buying parts for their Harley, but. I think with the performance bagger, the whole performance Harley scene, I mean, that like the last like 3 to 5 years, that shit has exploded,
dude.
And I would say it's bigger than fucking the big wheel bagger scene was. If you look at the amount of Dynas that have like panel paint jobs and like fucking Olin shocks or work shocks in the rear, inverted front ends, I mean, it's huge. It's the same amount of money.
It's a younger crowd. So these people are, you know, these kids out here, and you know, even people our age, they're doing it. They're creating an industry. They're creating a vibe and a culture. And you know, some of them are gonna come in, go, and you know, hopefully, I just don't see how that this scene can get fucking afflictioned out. I don't see how that could happen.
It won't. I mean, the whole stunt show thing, I think that will probably die out after a while. Yeah. I mean,
once you've seen one wheelie, you've seen
there's only so many ways you can watch a guy like wheelie a bagger or like wheelie an FXR or do a stoppie or something. But I mean, I don't have anything against those guys. I've almost sponsored them before I realized that there was no way I could afford it with the amount of pipes that I would be replacing on like a monthly basis. But yeah, you know, I think that the performance Harley thing is a good push, and I think if Harley will actually like listen to the customer base and see what everybody's doing, like, they might come out with another badass bike before it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, because this Sport Glide they just released, they need to fire whoever the fuck designed that bike. The only good thing about that bike is the saddlebags; those are nice.
I mean, it's cool. If you look at the way the frame works, it's cool, but they kept the old like soft tail styling. Like it's
like who the fuck
like they that bike that bike's over. They should have gotten rid of the soft tail completely and put all of their chips on the Dyna platform and just refined the suspension and chassis setup. I mean, Dynas have like, it's a rubber mounted motor with the swing arm mounted to
the motor. Yeah.
Like it's a crazy setup. Not even the FXRs have anything like that. I mean, the FXRs are rubber mounted, but there's a shaft going through
the frame
that goes to the frame on the ends.
Well, even if they would have just like, you know, not necessarily made another FXR, but maybe took, because obviously the dyno wobble's always been an issue
Yeah.
for a lot of people, but maybe just reinvent another bike that's kind of more, closer towards the bagger frame, which is what the FXR frame is essentially.
Just narrow it up 2 inches.
Yeah,
And
dude,
then,
like they just they dropped the ball. They dropped every ball in every sport basically.
and then like
Except the baggers, they made the baggers better. The new Milwaukee 8.
oh yeah,
And-
I haven't even gotten an email for a. I mean, I've got one or two, but like I haven't got anybody serious about buying a pipe for a new Dynaglide or whatever the fuck they're called now. Like,
Yeah.
it's all been Milwaukee 8 baggers, and those things make power with my pipe. I mean,
so
fuck.
think about it. Like we've talked about this thousands of times, right? But that new Softail, right? To get the one that you really want, it's 16 or 18,000, right?
Yeah.
Another $2,000, you have a bagger with the M8 motor, a radio, saddlebags, and a fairing.
yeah.
So what's going to happen is these kids that were jumping on Dynas are like, well, fuck that. I'm just going to save up my money. And now at Harley's, like, you can finance these motherfuckers for fucking 40 years now.
Yeah.
So it's like, shit, people are just going to
The
jump.
people in Harley finance department are like the devil.
Yeah.
They're like the worst people. in
You'll
the
only
world.
have to pay this forever.
for the rest of your life.
It's like a Snap-on
and then your
account.
kids have to pay it once you die.
Yeah, so
no.
they dropped it, man. They really did.
And it was weird, like the whole reveal thing with the boxes, sending it to people. Like,
Why did Ludacris get one?
yeah, Luda got one. That fucking big. I don't even know what fucking TV show he's on. There's like some big motherfucker. He's actually related to a guy, or he's the brother of a guy who builds choppers. Some movie star dude, Jason something. He's not Samoan or anything, but he's a huge fucking dude. But he got one, and then like Rusty Butcher got one, which like I guess like I respect what Rusty Butcher does. I mean, I'm competing against him in Born Free, which is like whatever. I mean, he's there, I'm there, so we're the same.
Is he going to
but-
make some leather goods?
Huh?
Is he going to make leather goods?
No. No, see, that's the difference, is I would not try to make leather goods. No, I don't know. It's just, it was a weird reveal. It was a weird thing. They really they made it really anticlimactic the way they revealed that bike. It was like, oh, there's this big box. These guys, like, these industry icons fucking got them for free, and then, I don't know.
Yeah, it was
weird.
strange.
It was-
and like we've always said, like the only good thing that came out of all of it was all the great Dyna memes.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of entertainment. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a better design than what the old Dyna was.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it just, to me, it looked like they were trying to reuse as much as the soft tail tooling as possible.
Yeah, they handle great. The motors are fucking dope.
Yeah.
They really are good bikes. Now, if anybody wants to make some good money on these things, design a fucking cool looking swing arm, and I think
Yeah.
you're going to be the guy that's going to,
Yeah.
maybe have a little traction. I
There's
think
that,
Speed Merchant did one.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
saw that picture. That's
But
the one
it's
with like the
super
red
stretched,
tank.
though.
Yeah, but I mean, that might just be what it needs to be. I mean, the geometry is going to be all off if they stretch the swing arm like that. But it still looks really fucking good. I mean, I saw
Yeah.
that bike and I was
liked it,
really
yeah.
impressed by that.
I'm pretty good friends with Jay from Fab 28, and him and Sacha are building a bike for the Born Free. Everybody's doing a soft tail, I guess, for that thing.
Yeah.
And he had a good point. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to try to make this look like a Dyna. I'm just going to try to make it look like whatever it looks like, something else.
Yeah.
So instead of going to find a T-Sport fairing and put it on, or a fucking, RP fairing or something like that, it's like, so I mean, I'm anxious to see what they come up with, but at the same time, there's just a lot of fucking, it's still just, I don't know. Harley needs to kind of step in and help out a little bit. Like, it's like you bring out a bike and then you expect the aftermarket to make it cool for you, but then you do nothing for the aftermarket. Like,
they're trying to make it almost impossible for the aftermarket.
yeah, they
to do shit.
cut guys. Like, I don't know about you, but for us, we used to, when we work on bikes on Harleys, we had to go to the dealership sometimes and get genuine Harley parts. And we used to have, accounts, like we could get it at dealer cost or at a 20 or 30% off cost, right? So dealer.
Yeah, like most I can get right now is like 20% above dealer cost.
Yeah. And so Harley cut all that, at least in our area and a lot of areas that I know of, so that the only way you can get those parts is to go on some of those websites that, like Ron Ayers or whatever the fuck, or Ronnie's Harley or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And, but then at the same time, it's like, you got dealerships that are hitting us up wanting us to help them throw a show, a performance bagger show or a performance bike show or a FXR Dyna show. And they don't even want to fucking put our logos on their goddamn page. Them. Yeah. So you want me to promote your show for you, but you don't want to put my logo on there because we build bikes and so do you.
Yeah.
But you need my reach and my pull to make your event work.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like,
no, I don't know. I mean, I've dealt with it before. We have one Harley dealership that's within like 15 miles of us. It's the Metairie Harley dealership. And those guys have been pretty cool. But I mean, I've had the North Shore guys reached out to me before and they wanted to do like a thing and they wanted to like bring me in there or whatever. But it was a really, I don't remember it was right when I moved here and it was like a really one-sided deal. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of told them like I don't have anything against y'all guys, but it seems like y'all have something against me. Like with the way this deal is set up, it's like I'm getting fucked on it.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. The whole Harley versus the aftermarket it's going to be weird forever. I think it's always been weird. I think they're just learning how to keep it in-house, really. Well, they can supply their own aftermarket. It's stupid of them to
think like that. It's stupid to think like that. I know that's the corporate way to think about it. That's the, the car salesman way to think about it.
Yeah.
That's the Walmart way to think about it. Hey, let's just put a fucking tire lube and battery here so that Joe Blow's mom can get her fucking groceries and her shit, right?
Yeah, it's like you buy a bike and then they have a catalog of their own custom parts that you can put on it, that you can buy, and you can finance those, But, it's like, and that's fine. If people, some people are more confident with letting Harley dealerships do all the work on their bike. Absolutely.
And that's cool.
And I get that. I mean, I totally understand that. I just went through a thing with a guy, where is he at? Snake Harley Davidson in Idaho, maybe. Super cool customer, and he bought an exhaust from me and he financed it through his dealership. They like threw it in, they paid for it up front and they financed it to him. I don't know what he's going to end up paying for that exhaust.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things, like I explained to them really, really clearly that it was like, look, I make these things by hand. I mean, from whatever I tell you, it could be like a week or 2 weeks added onto that. Depending if like materials get held up or if like just anything happens at my house, it could hold me up. And then he added on that he wanted to do ceramic coating. I don't do ceramic coating in house. I don't have the setup for it. I was like, look, I can get it ceramic coated for you, but I would much rather you do it to somebody local to you. Like once you get the pipe, send it to somebody that's right around the corner from you so you can be on their ass. Because otherwise you're going to be on my ass and I'm going to be on this guy's ass. And I can't promise his timeline. I don't know what this guy's going to tell me. I don't know when I'm actually going to get it. And it turned into a huge thing. And I just almost straight up refunded the guy. Like it was like 3 weeks this guy waited for ceramic coating after what I had originally told him what I could do the pipe in, which I did everything on my side all perfect, but ceramic coating. And I think that's kind of like, I think that's why people think it's safe to like go with big manufacturer parts because it's done. It's in a box. It's waiting in the back. Yeah. You just go buy it and they'll bring it right out and put it on your bike.
But then, you're the one that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that 100%, but like there's something cool about when you bring your black Harley Davidson that you just bought, that you had your Clockworks windshield put on, which, not talking shit about Clockworks, great guys.
Yeah.
But you get all these parts that are just, out of drag catalog. And then you go to the bike night and you're like, oh shit, there's my bike. It's the same one with the same parts and the same shit. And the same everything and the same, one-off paint job that I paid extra money from Harley, but it's the same fucking thing, you know.
What are on those CVOs? Is that like graphics printed on the side? On the new ones.
On the new ones,
Like the orange bike that has the weird, like, they try to do like a panel thing on them.
no,
You
it's
seen those?
all CVOs are actual paint, so it's actually pretty cool. But
It looked like there was like pixels or something. I couldn't figure
There
out.
might be,
I mean,
you
it
know-
was not pixels, but like it looked like it was like printed. It was
it could be
really
you know?
bizarre looking.
I know that Screaming Eagle, or not the one with the eagle on it, the blue one.
Uh-huh.
That's a vinyl transfer type thing.
I think they're doing that on a lot of their shit now.
Probably. I mean, think about it. I mean, they cut the whole idea of the Softail was the production. So now they're only making 3 different frames now instead of Softail, Dyna, Sportster, Bagger.
Yeah.
Now they're just making Bagger, Softail, Sporty.
Yeah.
And then their 700s or whatever the fuck those bikes are. So they cut all this production down to where they're not having to tool as many parts, right? The bikes weigh less. They're technically cheaper to produce, but yet
30 pounds less. I don't know if you watched the reveal. That was their big thing.
yeah. So it's like
30 pounds.
who's to fucking say, like, basically it's like that the corporate thing. It's like even though they're probably still selling enough to be a legitimate business, but because there's people that every year the numbers have to be higher, or that's considered a loss or considered a fucking failure company. It's like, damn, you all made all the bills got paid last year, but because you raised what it needs to be, now it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that what's going to happen is, like, Harley's probably going to get some tough waters. It's going to scale down as far as the size of a company.
Yeah.
And, kind of like they did in the 80s and then back in the 90s, where you had to stay on a waiting list to get a fucking Road King.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably what's going to happen, and it's going to make the elusiveness of a Harley and the resale value skyrocket again. And,
Yeah, they can sell it to like make it like exclusive, but
Yeah.
it's just going to be, like you said, there's going to be a really rough patch between where they're at now and when all of a sudden like Harley
Yeah.
is like the cool exclusive bike to have.
yeah, exactly.
It's going to be fucking weird. I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully we'll all survive it. Otherwise, we'll be probably, just doing whatever we can. I'll be painting cars or something.
Yeah, I'll move into the ruckus and Grom world.
Yeah, Honda's holding it down pretty strong. So I guess we'll start wrapping this up. What's the shop, man? Like Instagram, Facebook, website. What's all the links?
It's all Royal letter T Racing. It's Instagram is royal.t.racing. Facebook is Royalty Racing, or Facebook /Royalty Racing. And that's really it. I mean, if you need to email me, it's Patrick at Royalty Racing, spelled Royal Tracing, no dash.
Royal Tracing.
Yeah, and my website is royaltracing.com. So
That's a good way to do it too.
yeah. if you need
And
to know
hopefully
me.
they'll be seeing you at Born Free. Any other events you're gonna try to make?
Fuck, I don't know. I want to do Born Free. If Born Free goes really well, if the bike's done and everything, I mean, the bike's going to be done. It has to be. But if everything goes well with Born Free, then I'm going to go out to Sturgis, but I probably won't have a booth. I think
Yeah.
I just want to go on, like,
Just go hang out.
yeah, just hang out and, like, actually have a break, because it's going to be crazy leading up to Born Free.
Yeah,
For
Sturgis is that's my every year thing. Sturgis. The only way I'm going to Born Free this year is if Mike, FXR Mike, makes it.
Yeah.
I told him I'd ride with him to Sturgis if he did. So
Oh, yeah. How did he do on the show class thing?
he made the cut. So
Oh, really?
Yeah,
All right.
pretty stoked. I think everybody said it best about his bike. It's you either love it or you hate it.
I hate it. But
Yeah.
I want him to do good. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's cool about it, is that he's building something he likes and he's doing his shit. So
Yeah.
well, fuck it, man. Hey, I appreciate you letting us come out and check your city out and crash in your pad.
Absolutely.
So-
Anytime.
Yeah. So
All right, holler at you. Yeah, I hope you guys liked that. It was super entertaining. Being there, hearing his story, hearing about his place, how it all came to be. He's actually, if you've heard us talk about our buddy Carlos before. He's actually close friends with Carlos. Yeah, it was just cool. It was just cool getting to meet him finally. We're actually painting a chopper for him right now, and it's just cool to finally meet him instead of just being instant homies. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, fun shit. Like I said, don't forget about our sponsors. Mark Texas Performance MC, all that good shit down there. Cedar Park, Texas. Fuck with him. MCShopTees.com, MC Shop Tees on IG, the subscription-based t-shirt company for Danger Dan. Don't forget about that cool shit. And don't forget about our shit, man. Check us out at fastlifegarage.com, and you can find a link to our Patreon. If you have an account with YouTube, go ahead and follow us, because we're going to be trying to release some more shit. I think once Giddy Up's over, we'll be freed up a little bit more to kind of reinvest some more time and creativity back into this, not necessarily the podcast, but just how other ways you can be a part of it, basically.
Yeah, new forms of entertainment.
Yeah. And don't forget, like I said, that Patreon, that $1 a month, it helps. You know what I mean? It really does. I mean, it might not seem like it now at $16, but we're getting about 500 to 600 downloads an episode, which is, pretty good for us being new. Mm-hmm. Obviously, not on Joe Rogan's level.
I don't know if we'll make it there, but I hope so.
But anyway, like I said, this stuff's always going to be there for you to hear, and we're going to keep doing it as long as we keep getting participation from guests, and you guys keep listening to it. So
as long as I'm breathing.
Yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Later.